how can we develop acceptance tests using Cucumber? When we develop an application with behavior-driven development, first we determine our application's behaviors. After that, we develop its test cases using Cucumber. At early stage, these tests produce failures, but by the time the code is developed, we expect them to pass successfully. Our software development roadmap is to determine application behaviors, write their acceptance test cases using Cucumber, create unit and integration tests, then start coding while all test cases pass successfully. Welcome to the Tanho Labs channel. In this tutorial, we will try to briefly explain Cucumber tests. We will add Cucumber dependencies into our project. Then we create essential Cucumber files. After that, implement test cases. What is Cucumber? Cucumber is a testing tool that supports behavior-driven development, an approach that encourages collaboration between developers, testers, and non-technical stakeholders like business analysts. It is primarily used for automating acceptance tests and ensuring that the software meets the behavior specified by the stakeholders. What are the key concepts of BDD? Cucumber is based on BDD, which focuses on the behavior of the system from the user's perspective. It bridges the gap between technical and non-technical team members by using natural language to define how the software should behave. Yes, I mentioned natural language. Natural language like English? Yes, but not exactly. We talk about the Gherkin language. Cucumber test scenarios are written using a simple, human-readable Gherkin language. Gherkin is structured and uses specific keywords to define the behavior of the system. The syntax of Gherkin includes keywords like feature, a high-level description of a functionality, scenario, a specific example of how the feature should work, given the initial context or preconditions for the scenario, when the action that triggers the scenario, then the expected outcome or result of the action, and or but used to add additional conditions or actions. In Cucumber, each Gherkin steps like given, when, then is linked to the corresponding piece of code called a step definition. Step definitions are written in the programming language you are using, Java, Ruby, etc., and tell Cucumber how to execute the actions described in the Gherkin steps. Cucumber helps facilitate communication between different team members because non-technical stakeholders can read the Gherkin scenarios and understand how the application should behave. This ensures that everyone is on the same page regarding to software requirements. Okay, let's get started with development. Firstly, we need to add Cucumber dependencies into our project. Go to the service content project's POM.xml file. We developed this project in previous videos. If you want to reach these videos, you can access them using the card at the top of the screen. Add Cucumber Spring, Cucumber JUnit, and Cucumber Java dependencies into the POM.xml file. Then click on the sync icon. Now we need to define a feature file. Go to the resources directory in the test directory. Create a features directory under the resources directory. Add a file named service content create.feature. In this file, we define our behaviors using the Gherkin language. If you want, you can install the feature plugin by clicking on the install plugins or go to the settings, select plugins, choose marketplace, type Gherkin JetBrains, and click on the install button. In this file, first of all, we indicate our behavior using the feature keyword. Content creation. If you would like, you can type a command under this syntax. You don't have to do this, but I want to give an example so that we can press tab and type as a registered user, I want to create a text content. Secondly, we need to define a scenario using a scenario keyword. Successful content creation will be our first scenario. Now we need to determine our initial state. To do this, we use the given keyword. Given a user with test username that wants to create a test text content. After that, when the user sends a request to the API v1 contents endpoint, then the user should see a message with a 201's response status, and the message must include a URL and a content creation time. This is our Gherkin language, similar to daily human speaking. Here we see some warning about create step definitions. This indicates our next step. To create a step definition, we need to create a new Java class. Before that, we want to separate acceptance test from unit and integration test files. To achieve this, we create a new acceptance package under the test directory. In this directory, we need to create a Cucumber test Java class to configure Cucumber tests and a steps package. We will create a step definitions class in this package. Create a create content Cucumber step Java class in the create package. In this class, we need to add the Cucumber context configuration annotations above the class declaration. Copy your given syntax from the feature file. Add the given annotation and paste it in as a value. Change parameter values to type. Here we use the string, so type string with lowercase. Don't use uppercase, it will cause an error. After that, define a method. Public void request with username and text with string username and string text parameter. Check the parameter values, and if a value is null or empty, set the parameter as null. Then we need to set request fields with these parameters. Define a global create content request object and set its fields. Okay, the next step is when. Copy the when syntax from the feature file and paste it in the when annotation as a value. Change parameters to type and create a method public void send request with URL, string URL. This method will facilitate sending a request to our application. To do this, we need a test REST template method. We must add a Spring Boot test annotation with a web environment set to a random port above the class declaration. And create a private test REST template instance using the auto-wired annotation. Go back to the send request method and create an HTTP entity using the request object. After that, send it using the test REST template object. We expect a response from the application to assert it. So we need a global create content response object wrapped with a response entity. We need a response type, so we should define it as a global object. The next syntax is then. Copy then from the feature file. Paste it in the then annotation. Change the parameter with its type and create a method successful content create response with an int status. Now we need to define assertions. Assert that the response message status is equal to the status. The last syntax is AND. Go to the feature file and copy the AND line. Paste it in the AND annotation and create a method message must include URL and creation type. Assert that the response body is not null. Assert that the response body URL is not null. And assert that the response creation time is not null. Our test steps are complete. We need to set the configuration. Go to the Cucumber test class and add the run with annotation with Cucumber class as a parameter. Now we need to match the feature file with the step class. To achieve this, add the Cucumber options annotation with the features parameter. This parameter indicates the path of the feature file. Then add the glue parameter with the package of the steps class. Now we are ready to run. Click the Run button. As you can see, we developed a successful Cucumber test case. I would like to explain the advantage of the feature file. Go to the feature file and define a new scenario. Bad request for null username. Copy the given when then section and paste them under the new scenario. Update the username with null value. After that, create a new scenario, bad request for null text. Paste the given when then section under this scenario and update the text with an empty value. That's all for creating new scenarios. We can use each syntax for different scenarios in the same feature. Run all the test cases. They run successfully and they passed. You can find other scenarios for read, update and delete behaviors in the Tanhu Labs GitHub account, whose link is provided in the video comments. This is the end of this tutorial. Don't forget to subscribe to the Tanhu Labs channel for much more content. And if you like this video, hit the like button. See you in the next video. Goodbye.